Hey guys, this is Benjamin with Benjamin's Exotics, and today, really quickly, I'll talk about a subject that, gets asked when people ask me questions about reptiles. This is normally it, if they're looking to get, a pet reptile. And that question is, what is the best pet reptile, because from what I've heard, there's probably about, I didn't even think it would be this high, but there's like 600 different species of reptiles that we keep in the reptile hobby, and, besides the mainstream animals, which are still good, like, ball pythons, corn snakes, leopard geckos. Those are all really good options. But what else is out there? And while I will address other species in a later video, in this video we're going to be talking about one of the biggest ones. Probably, besides bearded dragons, and these guys still probably have bearded dragons beat, the most popular pet lizard kept in the United States, the leopard gecko. So, these guys are all around just a great animal. They're so cute. They've got these little tongues and little eyes, and they can lick their eyes, and great. Of course, in the day I choose to do this video, she goes straight into shed. So, that's wonderful, but that's how timing works out normally. But all around, leopard geckos are such cute little creatures. They're very easy to, get for the average person. They're at most pet stores, even though I don't advise going to pet stores, but if that's all you've got. Very easy to get at pet stores. Lots and lots of breeders sell them. Oop, I think I scared her a little bit. BHB with Brian Barczyk, he sells a lot of them. David's Fine Geckos, I think. Lots of people sell them. So they're very easy to get a hold of. They're at a great price. Most expensive you've ever spent on a leopard gecko is like $400, and the average person is not going to go out there and spend, on a top designer gecko. They just want a basic morph, like a white and yellow, or maybe an albino, or just a normal. Normals are fine too. Actually, in some cases, normals are a lot prettier than the other morphs, I think, in my opinion. But in this video, we'll just do a few pros and cons of owning or getting a leopard gecko. So, for the pros. They're very easy to house. As you can see in this basic setup right here, and she'll just run around all over the place. Got very basic heat mat underneath, moist hide, warmer hide, that's more the cooler hide, and food dish. I don't do a water bowl. I've talked about it in other videos before why I don't, but that's just not in this setup. So, one of the biggest pros is they're very easy to house. They don't take up much space. As you can see, this is like I believe it's a 16-quart tub. Yeah, 16-quart Sterilite tub. Just burn some holes in the outside. Very simple. You don't even really need the holes, but it makes it a little bit nicer, I think. So, very easy to house. Number 2, very easy to feed. Now, this can go both ways, but, whoa. And there's the disadvantage. That was actually kind of cool. I didn't want anybody to freak out. She was not just pulling her chin off. She's in shed, of course. She got it hooked on the little piece of log right there and moved her head up. She almost looked scared for a second. But anyways, they're very easy to feed. You can get mealworms or crickets or anything like that basically at any pet store. They're very readily available, and you can even get them online. But, when you do them online, you really need to get bulk, too. Get a good price. At least, that's what I'd say. Very easy to tame. As you can see, this little girl right here, she's a little bit skittish because she's in shed right now, but she's really got no problems with humans. She's not running away. She's out curious, saying hello, even though she is in the shed, and I wish she was, staying in there, but since I opened the lid, she's like, what's going on? So, very easy to tame. They barely, as you can see right here, with a humid hide, they've got no shedding problems. With ball pythons, especially, that's one of the biggest things. People freak out, when they get it caught in their eye caps and all kinds of stuff. You give a leopard gecko a shed box, you'll never, basically never, have a problem. She's going to lick her little eye right there like I was talking about earlier. They're not very aggressive. I've got bit by leopard geckos before. Actually, I've been bit by many leopard geckos, and I've never, ever had one draw blood when it bites you. It's basically, it bites you, it literally feels like sandpaper, okay? If you can touch and rub your finger against sandpaper a little bit, okay, that's the worst it's going to do. I had one person I know of, my sister, get blood drawn with a leopard gecko, but this leopard gecko was a super giant. It was huge, and it was just so mean. It grabbed her finger and basically acted like a monitor would, going back and forth. And when I say draw blood, there's a little bit of blood under the skin, and she didn't really care, didn't freak out or anything. But they're not very aggressive, so you're never gonna have a problem with them biting, a kid or something, unless the kid does something wrong. I'd say a gecko would never bite you unless you're in the wrong, and hopefully, yep, she'll go back into her little hide to shed, because the humidity will help shed their skin and stuff, and they do well in display cages. It's probably the last pro. There's so many pros. I could literally sit here, I could sit here for an entire day, 24 hours, talking to somebody about how these are an amazing pet animal. But for all the pros, there are some cons, and some of the cons are not so bad, but some of the cons are, for me at least, they're pretty big. So I have not dealt with too many leopard geckos because of one of these cons, but I'm hoping to get some more in soon. I'm not saying that I do, but I do have some animals being shipped right now, so we'll see. It'll be a surprise. I won't tell anybody. So here's some of the cons. And by the way, these cons, most of them aren't even cons, but the last one is the one for me that I don't like the most about them. And the last one's a personal thing. It really varies on opinions. Number one is need supplements. This is one that really isn't too big. I mean, with the snakes, they don't need supplements, so that could be a pro. But leopard geckos, all you need for the supplement is just some calcium. So that's a con, because if you don't have it, you will get a deformed leopard gecko, or you will have problems, and that's whenever, like, this girl's a rescue, and we see problems that she has with that because of that. So that's one of the things you really got to watch out for. You always have to have your supplements, and that can be a pro or a con, but I'm going to say if you always have food in their cage, which you should, you're not going to have any problems. So that's kind of a con, kind of. Number two is eats live bugs. Okay, these are not going to be where you can go to the pet store and get the dead mealworms for two reasons. One, the dead mealworms have basically no nutrition in them. They're all basically just shell, and there's basically no nutrition because they've sucked out, they've dry freezed and all the moisture, which has most of the good nutrients in a bug, and it's gone out of them. So dried stuff really isn't the best. So they're going to have to get live bugs. But like I said, they're readily available, so as long as you're fine with feeding live bugs, there should be no problem, and really no disadvantage or con for getting a leopard gecko. And the last one is the one that I personally have the biggest thing with. It's a personal thing for me. It's the size of the animal. And here's what I mean by this. I like bigger animals. Now, I do like these, but this is not what I'm talking about. I like the big Burmese and retics, but what I'm talking about is the size of the animal in terms of if you ever had any problems, right? With a ball python, if they get mites or if they get a problem, they're pretty big animals. I can see it on them. Most of them are about 3.5 to 4 feet. They got a stuck shed somewhere, I can find it really easy. The leopard geckos, because they're smaller and they got small toes and eyelids and, there's no scale over the eye and they're such small geckos and they can get mouth problems. For me, I think leopard geckos are absolutely great, and I'm actually thinking about getting some more in the future. Absolutely great animals. But when we're looking at problems, like with this one, and it might have been a mistake of mine to get one that was a rescue-ish type animal. Because of the problems I've seen that she has had with mouth problems, losing teeth, I'm a warning right now, these are problems that if you got a new healthy leopard gecko, you would not have any of these problems basically. This is a very rare chance. This is only if you're rescuing a leopard gecko would you have these problems. But shedding problems, losing toes, losing toenails because the shed gets stuck on the end of the toe. These are just a few things I saw when raising or, trying to rehabilitate this rescue leopard gecko. And I'll open the thing real quick so we can get a last nice shot of her, even though she's in shed. And if those are the cons, honestly, if those are the cons that they need supplements, that they need to eat live bugs, even though the bugs are readily available, and that, if you get a rescue, you might have some problems and they're harder to solve than a ball python's problems, such as stuck shed or things like that, that's pretty good. To be honest, the only con I could think about with this thing is, are you going to take care of it? That's kind of a weird con, but if you take care of this gecko, and you like it, of course, there's basically no cons about this animal. Basically none. It's one of the best pets you could get. I would not recommend this for a child because, as we talked about with problems, they are smaller. They're going to be easier to get away from a child or a kid of yours or something like that. So I wouldn't recommend them for younger people, but if you're above the age of probably 10, just around 10 or 11, 12, And as long as you're not going to play with it, 24 hours a day and stress it all out, these guys are going to be great for basically anybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I said, there's basically no cons to the Leopard Gecko. Most of them are just pros. But I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.